Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk on a Red Friday. Sports Talk coming at you on the Friday before a Chiefs game. The Chiefs and the Browns doing battle by the lake as the Chiefs try to go to 13-1. Maybe they can be the worst 13-1 team of all time, since an ESPN article earlier today said they were the worst 12-1 team of all time. But that's the important part. Isn't the worst, right? The important part is what that record is. And the Chiefs want to continue to keep the rest of the AFC field at arm's length as they take on Myles Garrett, Jameis Winston, and the Cleveland Browns on Sunday afternoon. Another noon kickoff for us. Game you'll hear right here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW on Sunday. We're going to preview it all today on a Red Friday, a Football Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our live video stream. Catch us on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the YouTube channel. You can jump into the YouTube, comment in the live chat throughout the show. Great way to interact with your fellow listeners and also with your hosts as we go along on today's show. You can also watch the show on Facebook, WIBW News. I am Dan Lucero, flying solo for a bit. Spencer Dupuis will join me later on, and then Spencer will take the reins around 4:30 or so and take you the rest of the night. I'll have high school basketball to get ready for. Our 580 Preps Friday night game of the week takes us to the Charger Dome at Topeka West High School. Topeka West hosting Seaman in United Kansas Conference action. I will be on the call. Larry Latimer will join me alongside. We'll start our coverage around 5:30. So we'll be done with sports talk a little earlier today and give way to high school basketball. Myself and the coach, Larry Latimer, from the Charger Dome for what should be a good pair of games. And then, of course, at 10 o'clock tonight's Kansas High School Basketball Scoreboard Show across the Kansas Information Network with Eric Peterson. So that's what's coming up here on the Sports Voice of Kansas tonight. It's a Friday night in the winter. That means it's high school basketball. So I'm with you for the first hour and a half. Spencer will join us at some point. He'll take you home right up until he hands things off to me and the coach. On today's show, like I said, it's Football Friday, and we're talking Chiefs. We are talking Chiefs and Browns. Chiefs trying to stay on the winning track. They are favored to do it. But again, I mean, they're the worst 12-1 team in the history of the NFL. So how much does that mean, right? We will break it all down and discuss the keys to the game, the big things that are going to determine this matchup. And, of course, we'll have our predictions, our big chief, all that fun stuff. And Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider, will join us from ChiefsDigest.com. Always enjoy hearing from Matt. He'll jump on in with us coming up in about, half hour or so. We'll get Matt's thoughts on where the Chiefs stand, getting some welcome injury news this week with Hollywood Browns return to practice today, and some unwelcome injury news with DJ Humphries being ruled doubtful for Sunday's clash with the Browns after he did not practice all week. Typically, you don't practice, you don't play, but there are some mitigating circumstances with Humphries being a veteran, being new, coming off of an injury after playing his first game in like 11 months, that I understand they would have wanted to be entirely cautious during the week and then seen, all right, if he can saddle up on Sunday, we'll get him out there. If not, it sounds like there are like multiple contingency plans for the Chiefs. They've worked a bunch of guys at left tackle. They may have even worked like Travis Kelce at left tackle just to see. Like they're trying anything at this point to try and get some kind of stability at the left tackle spot. But Humphries doubtful. Harrison Butker is questionable. And a chance that the butt kicker could make it back to the active roster, the game day roster. And Hollywood Brown's back at practice. So it's all shades of news from the participation report today for the Chiefs. So we'll get into all of that with Matt Derrick, as well as his insights on the matchup between the Chiefs and the Browns. Lots of other football this weekend, of course. Big slate of NFL games. There are 2 games this week that could reasonably be referred to as Super Bowl previews. Obviously, Bills-Lions. It's the Super Bowl America once. It's not the Super Bowl Chiefs Kingdom once, but it's probably the Super Bowl America once. One of those fan bases, long-suffering fan bases, finally able to taste a Lombardi trophy in the event that the Bills and Lions meet in a Super Bowl. Lions, of course, have never been. Bills infamously 0-4 all-time in the big one. But there's also Steelers-Eagles, the battle for Pennsylvania this Sunday. And now, look, I don't think the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl, but I think they're as likely to upset the AFC apple cart as any other team in that field behind the 2 teams I think are the best, the Bills and the Chiefs. So, yeah, what the hell? We can call that a Super Bowl preview, too. So there are 2 monster games in the NFL on Sunday. There's not much tomorrow, to be completely honest with you. There's just the Army-Navy game. That's our last regular season college football game. Remember for a bit there when both teams came out guns blazing to start the season, no pun intended, it seemed like we might get an Army-Navy American Athletic Conference championship game and then the traditional Army-Navy game the week after. That would have been so wild. I hope that happens someday. That'd be really funny. Army, of course, won the AAC. So they will play their 13th game of the year tomorrow against Navy, excuse me. So that's the only college football game. There's some college hoops as well, but we've got our Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk Picks contest. Obviously, just one college football game, so both Spencer and I have a pick on Army-Navy. We've also got our NFL picks to get to. And then once I leave the show, after we crown a What Is Wrong With You champion for the week, Spencer's going to talk some ball. He'll go through the NFL schedule. He'll give his thoughts on what to expect this coming Sunday. So lots of football in today's show, and of course all of the other things you've come to know and love from a Friday edition of the program. Sports headlines, top of the 5 o'clock hour. As I mentioned, we will crown a weekly What Is Wrong With You champion. We'll do Change My Mind. We'll do On Second Thought, all that good stuff on the program today. As I mentioned, you can interact with the show if you are on YouTube or Facebook watching the program, our live video stream. There's a live chat function on youtube.com or in the YouTube app. However you might be viewing the YouTube stream, you can jump into the live chat. Mark B, Paul K, and others jumping in on that today. Appreciate you who are already in and those of you who will jump in as we go and interact with us and with your fellow listeners. You can also send comments if you're watching on Facebook at WIBW News. We see those as well. All right, Chiefs Browns. Real quick, I went to read that ESPN.com article today. Aaron Schatz, formerly of Football Outsiders, does some writing for ESPN, ranking the 12-1 teams in history, looking at the 5 worst 12-1 teams in the history of the NFL. And the 5th worst was actually the 2020 Chiefs. They were the best team in the league that season at 12-1, but historically speaking, the 5th worst team to go 12-1 in NFL history. 2020 was a weird year, obviously. So 2020 Chiefs are the worst 12-1 team of all time, the 5th worst. And then you have the 2008 Titans, who got beat in the divisional round of the playoffs. The 1990 49ers, who, like these Chiefs, were going for their 3rd straight Super Bowl, started 12-1, made the conference championship game. Joe Montana got hurt. They lost to the Giants. The 1976 Raiders, I believe this was a team that Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, invoked when we were having this discussion the other day, that they are the 2nd worst 12-1 team of all time in terms of just straight up point differential, with this year's Chiefs being the worst. The 1976 Raiders, with a Hall of Fame head coach, ended up winning the Super Bowl that year, trouncing the Vikings in Super Bowl 11. And then you have the 2024 Chiefs, the worst 12-1 team ever. They are 8th in the league in DVOA right now. That's the metric that's used to measure this. They are, of course, 10-0 in one possession games. The point differential is plus 56. You know all this stuff like chapter and verse by now because everybody brings it up when they talk about the 2024 Chiefs. But the thing I wanted to pull from this article was the Football Power Index for ESPN. They give percentage odds essentially on who's the likeliest to win each matchup. The Chiefs, despite being a 4-point favorite at last check over the Browns, FPI for ESPN has the Chiefs at only a 52% chance to win on Sunday. Another thing that Mitch said and kind of just alluded to it, but I think it is a large part of the discussion about the Chiefs, is that we keep thinking about the Chiefs and like we're partially to blame here in these chairs on this radio show because we mention this every week. We mention the point spread and the Chiefs don't cover the point spread. They are 0-6 in their last 6 games against the spread, but they're 5-1 in those games where it actually counts. And it speaks to the larger point about maybe this Chiefs team isn't what everybody expects them to be, at least in a vacuum on a week-in, week-out basis. Not what the numbers would suggest, not what Vegas would suggest, but they keep winning football games. And at the end of the day, that's the main thing. They don't ask you at the end of the season, how many times did you cover the spread? They ask you how many games did you win? And right now the Chiefs have won more than any team in the NFL. So I'm not real fussed about what the point spread of this game is. I feel good about the Chiefs' ability to win it, but that's different than feeling good about their ability to cover a 4, 5, 6 point spread, whatever it ends up being. I just have seen enough of the Chiefs this year that I believe if the game is close and it's down to the wire, the difference will be the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid as their head coach, and the other team doesn't have that. That's the difference. The one time this year where another team beat the Chiefs is they had a play to make at the end of a game, and Josh Allen made it because Josh Allen's the only guy even sharing a stratosphere with Patrick Mahomes right now when it comes to guys that can win games almost single-handedly. Every other time this year, it's come down to Patrick Mahomes has made a play. Mahomes and Reid are on one side, not Mahomes and not Reid are on the other side, and that's enough. That contrast will be in sharp relief this week as the Chiefs take on the Browns and Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston stood on a podium after they lost on Monday Night Football to the Broncos a couple of weeks ago and asked the Lord, as in Jesus Christ, to deliver him from pick sixes. That's Jameis Winston in a nutshell as a player. Winston has started 6 games for this team. The last game that he did not start was the Cincinnati game. He has started the 6 games since. Baltimore, the Chargers, the Saints, the Steelers, the Browns, and the Steelers again. And in those 6 games, the Browns have turned the ball over 13 times, including 3 turnovers apiece in each of the last 3 games. Jameis Winston has thrown 9 interceptions in his 6 starts this season. And that is my first key to this game on Sunday. Jameis Winston is going to throw you the football. If you are the defensive team, he is going to throw you the ball. Catch it. That's key number 1 for this Chiefs team. And it's an oversimplification of something that we've discussed about this Chiefs defense as the year has gone on, that this is not a defense that creates a lot of turnovers. For whatever reason, this year's Chiefs defense is not a turnover creating defense. They have forced just 10 turnovers this season. They have forced just 2 turnovers in the last 6 weeks of action. And one of those was because the Raiders center snapped the ball off the foot of his quarterback at the end of a game, and nobody knew the ball was live except the Chiefs. Other than that, there's only one other turnover in the last 6 weeks for the Chiefs defense. Shamari Connor's interception of Josh Allen late in the first half against the Bills. This defensive coordinator has talked about the need to make more plays, generate more turnovers. If you can't do it against Jameis Winston, then you can't do it. This is the week, if it is a funk to be snapped out of, to snap out of that turnover-creating funk and make some plays that flip the field and give your offense an opportunity to score. Because while all this has been happening, do you know how many times the Chiefs have turned the ball over in the last 6 weeks? 3 times. And they have played turnover-free football in 4 of their last 5 games after having turned the ball over at least once in the first 8 games of the season. The only game they've turned it over in the last 5 was the Bills game. They turned it over twice. They had 1 turnover against the Buccaneers. Other than that, no turnovers against Denver, none against Carolina, none against the Raiders, none against the Chargers. And yeah, none against the Panthers, none against the Raiders, maybe nothing to scream about, but the Chargers defense is really good. And the Chiefs took care of the football against the Chargers. So, the opportunity exists. The Chiefs are playing clean on offense. They're not turning the ball over. They're playing clean in that regard. If you can be +2, +3 in the turnover department in this game, the Chiefs are finally going to have maybe one of those comfortable wins that I keep hearing so much about. So that's key number 1 for me. Jameis is going to throw you the ball, catch it. Number 2, got to get into better third down situations. The Browns have the second best pressure rate of any team in the NFL. Now, pressures don't necessarily mean sacks. We have talked about that at length because the Chiefs have the 4th best pressure rate of any team in the NFL, but haven't been able to get the quarterback on the ground as much as that would suggest. Browns get the quarterback on the ground. They got 33 sacks this year now in 13 games, just about 3 a game. So what you don't want to do is be in 3rd and long against the Browns. And that means being better on 1st and 2nd down and putting yourself in situations where you're in 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and you have the whole playbook open to you. Now, I thought the Chiefs were a little too willing to throw the ball on 3rd and short last week. They threw the ball on a 3rd and 2 that they didn't convert. They threw the ball on a 3rd and 1 that they didn't convert. I'm okay with just playing Hulk smash, running gap or dive or whatever with Isaiah Pacheco, blast, whatever you call it, whatever the Chiefs call it. But got to be in better third down situations because what you don't want, especially with another question mark at left tackle this week, are free runners and Myles Garrett being able to pin back his ears and rush to the passer. The more you can avoid that, if you were the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, the better off you're going to be. And as Mark B points out in the YouTube live chat, that means running the ball effectively on 1st and 2nd down. Yes, it does. And it goes back to what we talked about on yesterday's show. Don't go away from the run for like an entire half of the football game. Stay committed. Pound the ball. Get behind your interior line and let Isaiah Pacheco chisel out the yards, deal out those body blows, because there are games to be won in the 4th quarter. All of these Chiefs games are games to be won in the 4th quarter. That's how you win games in the 4th quarter. You wear a defense out with body blows in the first 3. It's a very retrograde way to look at and talk about the game of football, but I think it's also very true, particularly with how these Chiefs are constructed. And I have a bonus key to this game for the Chiefs, and that would be limit explosive scoring plays. You always want to limit explosive plays, but explosive scoring plays in particular. So since Jameis Winston became the starting quarterback, the Baltimore game, what do we define an explosive play as? Another reminder, pass plays of 20 or more yards, run plays of 10 or more yards. Since Jameis Winston became the starter against the Ravens, that is now 6 games he's been the starting quarterback. The Browns have 7 explosive play touchdowns. 23-yard touchdown pass, 22-yard touchdown pass, 38-yard touchdown pass, 89-yard touchdown pass, 30-yard touchdown pass, 70-yard touchdown pass, and last week a 35-yard touchdown pass. Jerry Jeudy has been the beneficiary of most of those. Cedric Tillman was the beneficiary of a couple of them. He had been hurt. He was in concussion protocol. He may be back this week. That's 7 explosive play touchdowns for the Cleveland Browns in the last 6 weeks. Do you know how many explosive play touchdowns the Chiefs have this season? I'll let you think about this for a second. The answer is 5. 5 explosive play touchdowns this season. Xavier Worthy's 21-yard touchdown run, the first touchdown of the season. Xavier Worthy's 35-yard touchdown reception from Mahomes in that same game. Rashee Rice catching a 44-yard touchdown pass from Patrick Mahomes. That was against Cincinnati. That was week 2. The 54-yard pass from Mahomes to Xavier Worthy against the Chargers. That was, week 4? And then the Noah Gray 35-yard touchdown reception from Mahomes on the opening drive against Carolina. That means the Chiefs have 1 explosive play touchdown since week 4. And 5 total, and the Browns have 7 since Winston became the starter. So they are a quick strike, all or nothing, however you want to phrase it, kind of offense. Chiefs can't let them have all. Chiefs have to be able to limit the explosive play touchdowns. That will be, no doubt in my mind, the difference between the Chiefs winning this game, potentially, if they can be +2 or +3 in the turnover department, potentially winning it comfortably for a change, and the Browns hanging around all afternoon. Is, do they hit for a 40-yard over-the-top ball to Jerry Jeudy? Because they're going to try him. And the Chiefs were not good against the deep ball against the Chargers. Not only did they give up the ones that they gave up, they should have given up a touchdown to Josh Palmer. Justin Herbert just missed the throw. And who knows how that changes the complexion, because that was in the first half of that game. The Chiefs really have to be much better defending the deep ball in this game. And particularly making sure that those deep balls don't wind up in the end zone. Make the Browns drive the ball, because the more plays they run, the more chances you have for Jameis Winston to make a mistake. Spencer will have his keys later on. We'll come back after this short timeout and get you the Big Chief predictions and keys to the game, and also your comments from the YouTube live chat. We're just getting started on this Red Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. 3:33 on 580 Sports Talk. Just getting warmed up on this Red Friday, Football Friday edition. I'm Dan Lucero, so glad to be with you. Paul in the YouTube live chat has a bonus key to the game for Sunday. Someone be remotely passable at left tackle. Just make life remotely inconvenient for the pass rushers. Make them go in a slightly bent line toward Mahomes instead of full speed ahead. Yeah, that's a good plan. That's a good key. You'd like to think somebody could do that, at least most of the time. DJ Humphries, again, doubtful for the Chiefs for Sunday's game. Hollywood Brown ruled out. Obviously, his practice window just opened today. Harrison Butker, questionable. He practiced limited all week. No other injury designations, though, for the Chiefs. I don't want to say, like, healthy as these things go, healthy as their active roster goes. They've got one of the smaller injury list, participation lists in the league at this stage of the season. For the Browns, I had a momentary lapse into dyslexia, it would appear, because I have thought all week that David Njoku was not going to play for the Browns. That was widely reported earlier this week that it was not likely that he would play, but that Cedric Tillman had a chance to return from his concussion. Well, the injury report says that's backwards. Despite not practicing all week, Njoku is listed as questionable, while Cedric Tillman, limited all week, is out. So no Tillman. And I would still say fairly unlikely that Njoku is able to go for the Browns, but more likely than I realized. So apologies for that confusion, because earlier I did say it sounded like Cedric Tillman's going to try to give it a go. No, that is in fact not the case. Also questionable for the Browns, linebacker Khaleke Hudson showed up on the injury report today with an abdominal injury. He was limited today. He's questionable. Also, cornerback Miles Harden, defensive tackle Mike Hall, and guard Joel Bitonio, who was out Wednesday and Thursday but was limited today. He is questionable. That'd be a big miss if he can't go. He's one of the best guards in the league. Real quick, according to Prairie Band Sportsbook, our friends up in Mayetta at the Prairie Band Casino and Resort, the Kansas City Chiefs are favored against the Cleveland Browns by 4 points. The total is 43. Spencer will give you his pick and his big Chief later on. I'm going under, and I'm taking the Browns to cover, but I am picking the Chiefs to win, and because I think it's a good bit, I will say Chiefs 19, Browns 17. That sounds about right to me. 1 touchdown, 4 field goals from whoever's healthy enough to kick. Jameis Winston throws a back-breaking interception late. I got Isaiah Pacheco as my big Chief. I think Isaiah Pacheco has a big game. I think the Chiefs are going to need him to have a big game. Matt Derrick joins us next, our Chiefs insider on 580 Sports Talk. Let's go to Kansas City and speak with our Kansas City Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick, beat writer for ChiefsDigest.com. You can follow Matt on all kinds of social medias at Matt Derrick and read him at ChiefsDigest.com. Matt, another heart stopper for the Chiefs last week. It's remarkable to me that they keep winning games like this. But again, I think, as we've talked about all week, it's fairly easily explainable when you look at each matchup, because the team that wins is the team with the better quarterback and the better coach a lot of the time. And even in the closest games, even in the games that are down to the wire, the team with the best quarterback and the best coach, Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame coach, they keep finding ways to win these games.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of different breakdowns this week, and pretty much however you sliced it. I mean, you look back at teams that are really good in close games, either in the season or over a streak, and what do you come up with? I mean, yeah, oftentimes you come up with a Hall of Fame coach, a Hall of Fame quarterback, or both. And yeah, I mean, if in today's day and age, I mean, the NFL, obviously, let's face it, I mean, they want every game to be like this. They try to do everything that they can to create parity so that every team is close to 500. You got to be really good or really bad at your job to, either win fewer than 6 games or win more than 11. And the Chiefs are just one of those teams. I mean, if you put the Chiefs into a tied game in the fourth quarter against anybody in the league, who are you going to take? I mean, you're going to usually take Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, because those are the people that usually win these games. So I don't know why everybody's so surprised.
The Chiefs defense, played a really good first half against the Chargers. They got pushed around on a couple of drives in the second half. What was your broad takeaway from the Chiefs defensively? Is that unit I think that it's gotten around. The word has gotten around that this is not quite to the standard that the Chiefs set on defense last season.
No, it's not. I mean, and that's, to me, you look at this team holistically, I think you'd say that this team's a little bit better offensively than last year. It's a little bit worse defensively last year. So in the end, it's about the same team. I mean, in a lot of ways, and a lot of metrics. I thought even in the first half, I thought that the Chargers were kind of establishing themselves along the line of scrimmage. I thought they more or less won the game on both sides, offensively and defensively, in the trenches. It was just the part of the game that was decided elsewhere, and what plays were made. And once again, I mean, it's a Chiefs game. It comes down to a couple of plays, and this one, yeah, I'd probably say both teams made plays. I mean, Herbert had a couple of absolutely incredible throws, incredible catches by his receivers that kept them going. The Chiefs defense got a couple of stops when they really needed it, and what was the difference in the end? The doink off the goalpost. I mean, I think it was that kind of game. It was that close. You look at, I think, just looked at that game as a whole. I mean, that was a game that deserved to come down to the final second, and it was going to be who had the ball last and who had a chance to convert the field goal.
Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com, our Chiefs insider, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. Let's talk injuries, Matt. DJ Humphries didn't practice all week after injuring his hamstring late in that Sunday night game, being listed as doubtful. Chiefs haven't entirely ruled DJ Humphries out, but doubtful means doubtful. So if you had to hazard a guess, what direction do the Chiefs go at the left tackle spot Sunday? Who's going to be out there for the first snap of the game, particularly knowing that whoever it is going to have to deal with Myles Garrett?
Yeah, and I could probably count on one hand the number of players, and maybe even one finger, the number of players the Chiefs have listed as doubtful over the years under Andy Reid that played in the game. I don't remember one. I mean, there might have been one that slipped past me, but I would not even be surprised if on Saturday maybe they'd go ahead and just downgrade him to out. They'll make the decision sometimes over the weekend. I know Andy Reid said it might go down to the wire on Sunday. We'll see. But I think you're down to just two options without DJ Humphries. It's either Joe Thuney or Wanye Morris, and I could see a case both directions. I mean, I think if you're hoping that DJ Humphries is going to be back, and maybe next Saturday against the Texans, you just need to get by one game. Maybe you can kick Joe Thuney out there and have him play left tackle. Can you try and start Wanye and see how he does? And if it doesn't work out, move Joe Thuney over. I mean, that's an option as well. I mean, I haven't gotten a good read on this team, and they've been very tight-lipped this week about what they're going to do. I think the smart money might be on Joe Tooney, but I'm not ruling out the Wanye Morris possibility.
Let's be real honest. I mean, they could import prime John Alt to start at left tackle for this game, and it would still be a tough matchup for anybody you put out there because Myles Garrett is just that good. So, regardless of who is at left tackle, how do the Chiefs have to neutralize the great Browns pass rusher? What things are they going to have to do to make sure that he is not routinely getting up close and personal with Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things you got to do. I mean, one of them obviously is that I just don't see how you let either one of your tackles, whomever they may be, play him on an island. I mean, you've got to give him support, whether it's you just shade your protection that direction so that that tackle's getting help from the guard next to them. You're putting a tight end over there. You're using a running back to chip something. I mean, anything. And the other thing, I mean, is it's part of your game plan. I think you got to design to get rid of the football quickly. And that's something that coaches and players alike have talked about a lot this week. How do you slow down an edge rusher? I mean, Andy Reid's philosophy one is usually to go right at him. If the Chiefs are gonna run the football, they're probably gonna run it right at Myles Garrett. You're going to see a lot of short passes in his direction to try and slow him down right behind him. Drop Xavier Worthy maybe right behind him to try and make him catch up with him. They want to wear out Myles Garrett. They want to challenge him. They want to do anything that they can to just slow down that pass rush. So maybe a bit more play action this week. Screen game, I think, is absolutely something they'd like to try and take advantage of. But the one thing is that they're going to want Patrick Mahomes to get rid of the football quickly. He's not going to have the luxury of being in the pocket for 4 seconds, deciding what to do. It's going to be drop, throw, and get it out of there. And the thing is that this is a defense that the Chiefs, I think, should be able to do that. Mahomes, if he makes the quick reads, makes the quick decisions, gets rid of the football on time and on schedule, there should be opportunities. I mean, this is not a great defense outside of Myles Garrett. I think there's certainly some holes in the secondary that they can take advantage of, and I think they're going to have some good matchups as far as just the what they have got at receiver versus what they're going to be facing on the other side.
We're joined by Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. And Matt, how do you quantify these two things? The Chiefs are number one in third down percentage, but they're number 25 in the league when it comes to scoring in the red zone. How do you quantify those two stats?
It really is weird, isn't it, Spencer? I mean, I can't quite figure it out because third down is just their domain. I mean, they've been very, very good at it. I mean, a lot of times you're going to be in third and short, and they haven't been bad at third and short. The red zone, obviously, it's just less area to work in. It's tighter. You've got the boundaries as defenders in the passing game, so it's a lot tighter. But you would think again, I mean, with guys like Travis Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins, they've got some really good red zone targets, and they've got some guys that can run the football in the red zone. I don't know. I still feel like that I go back to the very, very beginning of the season. This team just did not know what its identity was in the red zone. Is it a power run team and a power football team that's just going to push people around and try and get into the end zone that way? Or is it a finesse team? I still don't know that they've really decided. I don't know if they really know what their identity is because it seems like we get a different Chiefs personality every time that they get into the red zone. Sometimes they want to be fancy and they want to pull out some tricks and want to throw the football around and do some interesting things. And then other times it's like, okay, well, here's Kareem Hunt. We're going to run him. I don't know if they just have a firm identity so that they know what they're going to do and execute it as well as they can. We've seen them make a lot of mistakes in the red zone, so I don't know. I mean, I feel like that, hey, I get the idea of being multiple, and that's the one thing that the Chiefs really take pride in, especially on the offensive line. But I just don't know if it's worked as well this year. I mean, it really seems like at times they've got a split identity, and if they just picked one style of offense, whether it's in the run or the pass, that they're either going to be power or going to be finesse and stick with it. I think they can do either one. It's just trying to be both, especially in the red zone. It just doesn't seem to work real well.
And switching over the defense, it seems like rookie Jaden Hicks is really moving up Spags' trust tree. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, you still see some, I think maybe aggressiveness at times, over aggressiveness, and that's nothing that Spags is going to have a problem with. I mean, if you're going to make a mistake, he would rather it be an aggressive mistake than a passive mistake. So I think that's certainly going to help him. I think they need to see more of him for sure. I mean, especially as much as I think that this defense and some of its deficiencies over the last month have been related to a lot of their starters playing a lot of snaps in stressful positions because they're playing a lot of these fourth quarter snaps in close games. I think a guy like Jaden Hicks, could really be valuable, and not just giving a breather to Justin Reed, Brian Cook as well. I really like what we've seen from Jaden Hicks. I think that we need to see more of him. He's been really impressive to me.
Couple more questions for Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider, ChiefsDigest.com, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline, as he does every Friday here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, this has to be the week the Chiefs defense gets off the schneid when it comes to forcing turnovers, right? And Jameis Winston is going to throw them at least one or two. How important is it that this be a game where the Chiefs can make some plays on defense, force a turnover or two or three, and flip the field and give their offense some short field to work with for a change?
Yeah, it's been odd. I mean, and part of it absolutely starts up front because the front four and the pass rush has just not been as effective as it has been the last couple of seasons, as productive. Affecting the quarterback, whether it's you get hits, so you force the football out on the ground, or you're just affecting the quarterback and forcing bad throws. I mean, that's a lot of the picks that the Chiefs have usually gotten have been of that variety. It's because Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Mike Danis, somebody up front, Tershawn Wharton is affecting the passer and forcing a bad ball out. And we haven't seen as many of those because the front four just hasn't been as effective. Chiefs are probably missing a little bit of L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, he was obviously, I think, a factor in the turnovers that they forced. And, I get it. I mean, Trent McDuffie he's been a really good producer of turnovers as far as just forcing fumbles in his career, but he's still looking for that interception. And we joke about defensive backs sometimes being defensive backs for a reason because they couldn't catch the football as receivers. And I don't think it's that, but I do often at times, I think, see this defense pressing. We've seen some drops from this defense. I think that's been a little bit of, they do get excited and think, here's the turnover, here's the interception that we're looking for. And you try and start taking off the football without getting it in. I think that happens. They have been pressing. So I think that getting some turnovers, I think, would certainly help them confidence-wise, is just knowing that, hey, and turnovers seem to come in bunches. It's one of those things that, I think psychologically as a defense, once you get some turnovers, it feels like it makes it easier to create more. We'll see what happens because you're right. I mean, Jameis Winston has been a turnover machine. As productive as he has been, he is not terribly productive with the football. This should be the opportunity. I mean, you're going to get good Winston and bad Winston this week. It's just you got to take advantage of it when he makes mistakes.
Real quick, Matt, did the Chiefs win?
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, once again, I can't predict them to blow out somebody until they finally do, or
right.
I'd say this is a 31-13 game, but I'm going to go Chiefs 19-13.
I said 19-17 because I just think that would be really funny to have 3 straight weeks of the same final score.
They seem to be on that streak.
Matt Derrick at ChiefsDigest.com is our Chiefs insider, joining us every week here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, always a pleasure. Enjoy the game. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds great. Take care, my friend.
That is Matt Derrick. We'll wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk after this timeout. Wrapping up this hour with Changed My Mind. Spencer, changed my mind. The Steelers and the Bills are going to lose on Sunday.
No, I think the Steelers are going to win.
Think the Steelers go to Philly and win?
If Pickens is playing, I think they win. I don't know what the injury report
Doesn't sound like he's going to.
Darn. I need them to win.
You gotta chuck a change on them, or
no? I just if you can get if you can get the Eagles into that losing skid now, you never know what happens towards the end of the season. Going the rest of the way like last year.
That's true.
And they've got infighting in the locker room, so I mean, it just would all make sense.
All right, you got to change my mind.
Change my mind. Bill Belichick will be the greatest thing that happened to North Carolina football.
In what respect?
Like he takes them the Tar Heel way to a national championship.
No, that is absolutely not happening. No, that will not happen. Great thing for North Carolina football in that we are talking about North Carolina football in Topeka, Kansas, and thinking about North Carolina football in a way that we never thought about North Carolina football before. Yes, great for ticket sales. I don't think North Carolina has to worry about merch sales. People love that Carolina blue, but good for attention given to the program, good for the profile of the program. Absolutely. They are not going to win a national championship under Bill Belichick because it's not that kind of program. It's just not that kind of program. And
I could be. They've got the NIL money coming. They got $20 million in NIL coming.
That's great.
They've got the coaching staff, the support staff coming.
Are they Georgia? Are they Alabama? Are they Ohio State? Then they're not that kind of program.
Clemson kind of wasn't that kind of program before they won a few times, before they became relevant.
I don't think Bill Belichick is Dabo Swinney in respect to the college game. And I'll let you draw your own conclusion as to what I mean by that. Prairie Band Sportsbook picks. What is wrong with you? And Spencer talks ball next hour on 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on a Red Friday / Football Friday edition. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis hanging out with you. Brendan Dorzinski remains on paternity leave. Got another about hour and a half of the show today. We'll give way to high school basketball. Our 580 Preps game of the week tonight features Seaman at Topeka West at the Charger Dome. Yours truly and Larry Latimer will be on the call. I'll duck out here in about half an hour. Spence will take you the rest of the way. And we'll have high school basketball for you tonight. A couple of games in the United Kansas Conference here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. Thanks for listening to 580 Sports Talk, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our YouTube live stream. You can check us out. Our YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. Last I checked, we are 11 subscribers shy of 700. Who will be our 700th subscriber? It probably won't be you if you do it like right now. And like, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't have like a prize or anything all set up. Like I don't have anything like to immediately give away. Maybe I'll work on that. Maybe I got to figure something out, something special for subscriber number 700. But will you be the hero that helps us get closer? Will you be the person that gets us closer and closer to 700 subscribers on our YouTube page?
Long journey.
The channel is 580 Sports Talk. It has been a long journey. You can also watch us on Facebook, WIBW News, if you'd prefer to do that as well. Join us in the live chat on YouTube if you are watching along on YouTube in your browser or on an app or on your Roku, Google TV, whatever. You can jump in the live chat, interact with other listeners. Apparently, we have Christmas movie trivia going down in the YouTube live chat today. Spencer, where do you come down on A Christmas Story, the movie?
What do you mean, where do I come down on it?
Do you like it?
I'm not a big Christmas movie guy.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm just not a big Christmas movie. The real question is, where do you come down on Die Hard?
It's a Christmas movie.
Okay.
It's a Christmas movie. Drive Brendan crazy with that. But yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. 100%.
I'm just not a big Christmas movie guy. I mean, if it's on, I'll watch it. But
that's fine.
I don't go out of my way to pick movies.
I understand.
I let others pick, and then I, get through the 2 hours of the movie.
I understand. I get that. The Christmas Story is my favorite. I watch it every year. That's an all-timer. It's a Lucero family favorite. I say Lucero family favorite. I think my mom got sick of it over the years, but we used to watch every year, quote all the set pieces. Be sure to drink your Ovaltine. He looks like a pink nightmare. You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Triple dog dare you. The whole thing. Anybody who's ever seen it more than once, certainly, those are evocative. The singing at the Chinese restaurant, that is extremely problematic, would not fly in the movie that got made today. Again, I'm doing set pieces here. Not that one. Nope. Not doing that. I'd like to keep my job. I'd like to not be canceled. But no, all-timer, A Christmas Story. Anyway, it's always great fun, the YouTube live chat. We appreciate those of you hanging out with us, whether you're watching on YouTube or not, even if you're just sitting by a radio the old-fashioned way, just like Ralphie listening to his stories and with his Ovaltine decoder ring. However you're tuning in, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Still to come this hour, we're going to crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You, see if 2 news stories can take down the woman with the golden gun. Also, after I leave, we're going to get some ball knowledge from ball knower Spencer Dupuis. He's going to give you his keys to the game and his predictions and big Chief pick for Chiefs Browns. He's also going to walk you through the rest of the NFL schedule.
Yeah.
Like I said, 2 potential Super Bowl previews this week. And you can be a smart aleck and say, well, early in the season, any game between an AFC and an NFC team is a possible Super Bowl preview.
We're not early in the season.
No, we're not. This late in the year, Bills Lions is. I said earlier, do you think this is true? Because we can get a little myopic in terms of how we view the NFL because of who we cover and where we are. We're smack in the middle of Chiefs Kingdom. Our NFL coverage, my NFL viewing, even though I have a favorite team elsewhere, I'm looking at the league through Chiefs colored glasses at this point. But do you feel like Bills Lions is a Super Bowl America wants?
I don't know. I wouldn't. Bills Lions? I don't know. I feel like people are tired of the Chiefs. That's what I know.
Right.
Coming from the outside to the inside.
It might just be America wants a Super Bowl that doesn't involve the Chiefs.
Like coming from the outside to the inside here in the last literally calendar year, like I can see why people would want a different Super Bowl matchup, but they also probably just don't want the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, people get tired of it, just like people were tired of the Patriots.
Yeah, like everyone's like, come on, somebody else.
Not them again. Yeah, definitely an element of that. But Spencer's going to do that. They don't have 580 Sports Talk headlines, 5 o'clock hour. Lots of headlines to get to. All-America teams, more coaching carousel. 2 big trades in Major League Baseball today. Our guy Brendan's Cubs made a big move.
I saw he was
Kyle
posting about
Tucker's
it.
so good. I can't believe the Astros just give Kyle Tucker away. And I mean, it's not like they got bad players in return for him, but why would you trade Kyle Tucker? Kyle Tucker's so good. Man, what a great addition he is for the Cubs. The Yankees went and got a closer, Devin Williams. That's a big deal for them. Devin Williams going to the Yankees. The Brewers once again trading like a key member of their team, and they'll probably trip and fall into 95 wins again next year. And it's just they just keep on rolling there in Milwaukee. But anyway, Spencer will have those things and more in our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Vance is asking more Christmas movie trivia. In the movie A Christmas Story, what was the name of the next door neighbors whose dogs ate the Christmas turkey? Bumpuses! Bumpuses.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Man, we gotta get you to watch some more movies, man.
I'm also kind of distracted because I'm not sure if you saw what happened on Twitter after the college football Hall of Fame induction. What Larry Fitzgerald kind of did. I don't know if you were privy to that on Twitter.
I was not. No, that's
so. Randy Moss has been dealing with a health issue.
Yes.
And Larry Fitzgerald kind of spilled the beans,
yeah,
but it wasn't really what it was. And I guess Randy Moss is on Instagram Live right now talking about what happened. And he looks like he just had surgery or something. He definitely looks like he's very sick, and thoughts and prayers with him.
Something's going on with Randy
But I
Moss.
just saw like Randy Moss went live on Instagram, so I clicked in it, and I was a little distracted by seeing he does look sick. So
okay,
he's a little distracted there. Sorry.
Yeah, real sad. Real sad about Randy Moss's illness. Anyway, let's though start this hour as we start the 4 o'clock hour throughout the football season with the Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk Picks Contest. Something happened there. Something went down the wrong pipe.
Yeah.
I made a weird noise. And now my voice is weakening. Spencer, how about you start with your NFL picks while I recover over here?
All right. I can't go with the old trusty because they're not playing this week. My Marshall Thundering Herd are off until their bowl game where they're going to get demolished by Army because they're playing their scout team at that point. Because everyone's in the freaking portal. Another day, another topic, another day. But my first NFL, I've got Washington favored by 7.5 at New Orleans. New Orleans is starting Jake Haener. Marshawn Lattimore is going to play for the first time with the Commanders going back to New Orleans. He knows that offense, obviously. So I think you may try to see him jump in front of a few passes, and it's Jake Haener. So,
man, I loved Jake Haener in college. Loved him.
Washington favored by 7.5. I've got them winning by 7.5.
7.5. The spread there. What's your other NFL pick?
Minnesota favored by 8 against Chicago. Chicago's defense does not make great decisions, and I think Minnesota is just going to blow them out of the water.
Minnesota, quiet as it's kept. You know, we kind of mid-season, Sam Darnold wasn't playing very well, and then we kind of wrote him off a little bit. That line has come down 1.5 points.
Wow.
By the way. So, I mean,
since this morning,
yeah, 1.5 points. So if you were willing to lay 8, are you willing to lay only 6.5?
Yes.
Okay. We'll give you the updated line. We'll be generous. So like Darnold had those games where he wasn't very good. What was that game? I think it was Jacksonville where he played like crap and they won 12-7 or whatever it was. So we all just kind of decided, okay, yeah, Sam Darnold's doing Sam Darnold stuff and the Vikings aren't real. You look up, they're 11-2, and Darnold has been lights out the last month. And
he had a career high 347 yards, 5 touchdowns last week.
He has been awesome. the last month of football, and credit where it's due, and also doing it while there's widespread reporting that, oh yeah, the Vikings aren't going to bring him back.
I mean, he's playing for a job.
Yeah,
he's playing somewhere for a job to be somebody's starter next year.
Auditioning to be the next starting quarterback of the New York Giants or
the New York Jets.
The New York Jets, possible. Oh man, wouldn't that be funny? That'd be so funny. You know what? I'm actually rooting for that outcome.
What about the Saints? Do they still have Carr under contract?
Yeah, Derek Carr, I believe, is still under contract for a while. Though, money's not real. The salary cap. The New Orleans
Saints don't.
New Orleans has treated the salary cap like it's fake for all these years. So
yes.
Yeah, Darnold's been awesome, and Minnesota continues to win and win and win. And I think they're going to take care of Chicago.
I say this too because Chicago got blown out last week by the 49ers, and then the 49ers on Thursday, they turned around and had to play a Thursday game, but they only put up field goals.
Yeah, can we talk about that? Can we throw a quick 49ers are over party here on 580 Sports Talk? It's over for this iteration of the 49ers.
And I think it's over for what's his face?
Devondre Campbell?
Devondre Campbell.
Yeah, it's definitely over for him.
Yeah, that's
Kyle Shanahan.
Respect to the game out the door right there.
In case you missed it last night, Dre Greenlaw was back in the lineup for the 49ers, which first time since he ruptures Achilles running out onto the field for a series in the Super Bowl. And Dre Greenlaw got the start, and he played great, and then he got hurt again, and he was going to have to leave the game. And Kyle Shanahan went to Devondre Campbell, who had been starting at that linebacker position, and was like, hey, you're up. Next man up. And Devondre Campbell said, no, I don't feel like it. In so many words. And, Devondre Campbell just refused to go into the game, so he's not going to be a 49er much longer. Brock Purdy, verifiably cannot play in the rain. Every time it rains, he's like a gremlin. He shrinks. He can't get him wet.
Did you watch the game last night?
I did not watch. I watched a little bit of the fourth quarter.
I had it on in the background. I was perusing YouTube at the end of the game because it was just so boring. There was nothing that made me want to watch that game, even though it was only a 6-point game at the end of it. But I watched the final drive. I was they kept talking. I heard it on the background. Well, we saw this with the Commanders against the Bears. Well, we've seen it this year, so I wanted to watch. And he just looked so defeated walking off the field. Did he? What? Now I'm forgetting his name.
Brock Purdy?
Yeah, Brock Purdy. I don't know why I forgot Brock Purdy's name there.
Yeah, bad night for the 49ers. Their playoff odds are now less than 1%. They are going to miss the postseason in the NFC.
It's a contract year for him, right?
Yeah.
Hey, that just might be helping him stay in the San Francisco, right?
So
not winning games, not putting up good numbers.
He's played pretty well.
He has, but
he was terrible last night, but verifiably cannot play in the rain. He is too good not to pay. He's in that range of players. Is too good not to pay. And once you pay the quarterback, you run into a problem okay, who else can you actually pay? There was that whole thing with Brandon Ayuk, and he got his money. Debo, Bosa, there's all these guys that need Charvarius Ward, who's been so good for them. He's probably not coming back. He's said out loud, he said to Mike Silver, The Athletic, I don't know that I'm going to be back next year. So they got some hard decisions to make. They were playing on easy mode, and they didn't win a championship. And that's just it. For all of these teams that have had the young quarterbacks on the rookie deals, you got to win when you have that opportunity. When you're playing on easy mode, that's when you got to strike. And the 49ers were on easy mode with not just a rookie, a 7th-round pick. You're paying a 7th-round pick $15.50 an hour plus tips against the salary cap. And they got as close as you can come, but they didn't bring home the Lombardi Trophy. And now they're in for a bit of a reset. It's unpleasant in San Francisco. The vibes, not particularly good. Anyway, Tyler in the YouTube live chats calls him Brock Mogwai. Yeah, can't get the gremlins wet. They multiply.
I mean, look, I forgot his name because it was such a forgettable performance last night.
It was a forgettable performance for Brock Purdy last night. So those are your 2 NFL picks. My NFL picks this week. I got a road dog and I got a home favorite. I'm laying the 4 points with the Broncos at home against the Colts. I don't know why this number is so small. I know the Broncos were not particularly good their last time out against the Browns defensively, but I think they got a better defense than that. I think the Colts are a little less explosive than the Browns offense is. And I think the Broncos will take care of business at home. They can smell the playoffs. This is an opportunity. They haven't been in 9 years. That proud franchise hasn't been in the playoffs in 9 years. And if they win on Sunday, it is all but assured that they will break that streak. I think they win. I think they cover the 4 points. And in one of the big games of the week that I know you'll speak to more when we get later on this hour, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, I will take the Steelers on the road to cover 5.5. I just think that's too many points because I think Pittsburgh can stop the run and make Philadelphia a bit one-dimensional. I think ultimately Pittsburgh's going to miss George Pickens. I don't think they'll be quite as explosive. I think Philadelphia will be able to eke this one out at home. But for me, 5.5 is too many points. This feels like a field goal game to me. So I will take 5.5 points with the Steelers in Philadelphia. Now, there are no college football games other than the Army-Navy game on Saturday. So instead of doing 2 college football picks and a wild card pick, our wild card pick this week is the Army-Navy game. And we could, the rules were, we could choose whatever side we wanted. We could play the spread. We could play the total. We could play first half total, whatever prop we wanted to play from Army-Navy. And I'm on the under. Spencer?
I'm on the over.
So the total is 39.5. I'm going to double check, make sure that hasn't jumped. Went to 40. So the number's 40 now. You're on the over. I'm on the under. Spencer, going back to 2006, would you like to guess what the record of the under is in games where a service academy plays another service academy? The under is
undefeated.
45, 10, and 1.
Jeez.
Since 2006.
Yeah, well, they're going to buck that trend tomorrow.
Service academy unders are some of the most reliable forms of income in America. Betting the under on service academy games. Last year's closing total was 28. The under did not hit. But this year's closing total, at least for our purposes, is going to be 40, which this game hasn't been above that number in any of the last 10 meetings. These two teams know each other intimately, know how to defend each other. I do not see a way this goes over 40. You're saying you're going to be brave and plant your flag and say, yes, it will. Yes, it's going over this time.
Yeah, they're bucking the trend. A lot of points like to be scored on Northwest Stadium's field, and they will be scored tomorrow.
Army is really good. This is probably as good as Army has been, as explosive as Army has been offensively in a long time. Bryson Daly's really good. They've scored 29 or more points 8 times this season. So they could take it over the total. They get to 30, then, Navy only needs 2 scoring drives, and all of a sudden, you're over hits. I just don't think the Navy defense is going to allow that because I think Navy's pretty good too. So that is our pick for the Army-Navy game. For the record, again, Brendan not making picks. He's on paternity leave. His current record, 33, 34, and 1. We both, Spencer and I, went 3-2 last week in these Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk picks. I am 34, 38, and 1 overall. Spencer just half a game behind me at 34 and 39. Which of these 3 picks, Spencer, is your lock of the week? I know last week it was Marshall. You're taking Minnesota minus 6.5 as your lock of the week. Service Academy under, my lock of the week. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You here on 580 Sports Talk. It is that time. What is wrong with you here on 580 Sports Talk? 2 news stories today. Competing to try and become our weekly champion, the current champion, the woman with the golden gun, Liliana Goodson, American woman who was traveling to Australia to go to clown school, as one does, and hacked her 24-karat gold gun in her luggage, as one does, for protection. You know,
as one does.
Against the dingoes and what have you in Australia. You're not allowed to do that, and she's going to jail for a year. Anyway, the one with the golden gun, our current weekly champion. I will go first today. We're going to Jefferson County, Washington, where deputies arrested a man and a woman who were accused of stealing thousands of dollars in jewelry and then trying to escape on foot, by car, and finally by rowboat.
That's a new one.
He's very slowly getting away, Chief. The ordeal began around 8 a.m. when the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office received a 911 call reporting a burglary from a shipping container near the Hood Canal Bridge. The 911 caller said a man and a woman had just stolen $11,000 in jewelry from the container and were fleeing the area in the SUV. The witness saw the fleeing SUV driving south on the Hood Canal Bridge. As Kitsap County deputies responded, they came across an SUV matching the description from the 911 call. It had been in a rollover crash near Port Gamble. The Kitsap deputy saw the man and woman walking away and attempted to stop them while calling in additional resources. The man and the woman managed then to steal a rowboat on Port Gamble Bay. Deputies deployed a drone that recorded the suspect's attempted escape on the water. The drone video shows the suspects using plywood and an oar to propel the rowboat. They only had one oar. Two of us. There's only one oar. Quick, improvise. Also, there was a hole in the boat. It was taking on water. Wow. Maybe that's why they only had one oar. It was not a seaworthy vessel. The man and the woman eventually ditched the rowboat and swam to shore where they were arrested. It is not yet clear if the stolen jewelry has been recovered. I just love the idea of him trying to... The picture is really funny. I gotta throw this picture up on the live chat. Give me a second to get it up on the YouTube. This is very funny to me. The idea that it's not like a piece of plywood that would be like good for steering a boat.
Yeah.
Here, we're gonna throw this up. If you're watching on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk's the channel. That's what we got here. Row. Who's counting off the strokes? The man or the woman? Also, you can very clearly see that the boat is like a quarter full of water at that point.
Yeah.
They had no chance. Moron.
That's hilarious.
Your story today, Spencer.
Yes, we're going to Fort Myers, Florida. A Florida man was taken to jail after he allegedly stole $100,000 worth of tools from a dealership over the weekend. Michael Honer, 39, was arrested Tuesday on charges of larceny, grand theft, and burglary, according to Lee County Sheriff's Office. Deputies said a pair of Apple AirPods helped them locate him.
Oh, no.
On December 8th, law enforcement responded to Sutherland Nissan Auto Dealership in Fort Myers regarding a burglary. When they arrived, they discovered that multiple toolboxes and tools worth $100,000 had been stolen from employees. Crime section detectives took over the investigation due to the large amount of theft. During their investigation, detectives were informed that one of the victim's AirPods that was left inside one of the toolboxes was pinging to a CubeSmart storage facility in Cape Coral. Investigators responded to CubeSmart and tracked the audible ping to a storage unit rented by Honer. They also reviewed surveillance video that showed him unloading the toolboxes into the storage unit, officers said. Detectives learned he was fired from the dealership and blamed the victims for being let go, authorities said. After confirming his identity and the stolen property through surveillance video, detectives determined probable cause to arrest him. He was arrested at Audi of Fort Myers, his most recent employer, deputies said.
That tough break, man. Gotta keep track of your AirPods.
That is just they found it because of the AirPod. Like, come on.
See, yeah, I don't need I know they're nice. I'm sure they're very nice.
Yeah.
But I don't need headphones that also tell the police where I am. I don't need that in my life. I don't think. All right. I got to go with the, up the creek, literally without a paddle.
Yeah.
As our winner today. But does that beat the one with the golden gun?
I don't think so.
She's going to clown school.
She's going to the weekly winner section.
She is the one with the golden gun. Moving on. She is our champion this week on What Is Wrong With You. I am going to take leave for the week. I will be right back on these airwaves in about an hour or so with our 580 Preps high school basketball game of the week. A doubleheader tonight out at the Charger Dome as Topeka West plays host to Seaman. Myself and Larry Latimer will be on the call. So I'm out, but Spencer Dupuy's got you the rest of the way. He's going to talk some football with you on this Football Friday, give you his keys to the Chiefs and the Browns this coming Sunday. That's coming up. You're listening to 580 Sports Talk.
Youngest in command movement here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuy with you till 5:30 here as we will talk some ball in this segment. Some ball potentially might not be played for another Kansas State Wildcat. Mark B referring to it in the comments. We do not have anything official yet that I have seen on that. So until it's official, I will not be speaking on that because I don't have anything to go off of, but we will see what comes from that in the next 20 or so minutes before we get into headlines right at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. And I'm just double checking to make sure there's nothing out here as of yet. I don't necessarily see anything, but if somebody has something, they can send it to me. And we can see where we're going from there. But let's talk some ball here. Chiefs Browns Sunday, 12 p.m. You can watch it locally on CBS, or you can listen to it right here with Mitch Holthus and the gang. The 11 a.m. pregame, 12 p.m. kickoff from Cleveland as Travis Kelce goes home to Cleveland, not, I guess, close to where he's obviously from. He's from Cleveland Heights, near Cleveland, obviously. But my keys to the game for this game on Sunday, don't let the deep ball with you. Spags talked about it during his media availability this week. Obviously, of late, Jameis loves to find Jerry Jeudy deep, and Jerry Jeudy is now like cracked the top 10 in receiving numbers because of the stats that have gone through and because of his game against Denver. Specifically, he's cracked the top 10. But yeah, obviously you want to be aware of that. But Jameis is also going to, as much as he throws it, he will throw it away to the other team. So be prepared for that. That's why my big chief in this one is Trent McDuffie. I think he gets an interception return for a touchdown. What? Did I just say that? I think Trent McDuffie gets an interception returned for a touchdown. Yeah, I think he gets an interception. He's my big chief pick for the game. My other key to the game is touchdowns in the red zone. This Browns team likes to stick around. Obviously, we saw that in the Bronco game. But even in their game last week against Pittsburgh and then their win against Pittsburgh a few weeks back, they like to stick around in these games because all of a sudden you look up and Jameis, after he throws a pick six, he can throw a deep touchdown. I mean, they only lost this game 2 weeks ago. Or they lost this game this past Saturday by 13. That's just barely 2 touchdowns, but then they lost the game to the Broncos by 9, and then they beat the Steelers the prior week by 5. So they like to stick around there late, and I think you need to score touchdowns, not field goals in the red zone in order to be successful on Sunday. And my score prediction, taking the over in this one, big over by 6. Chiefs 28, Browns 21. There's a pick 6 in there, but there's also 3 Mahomes touchdowns. 2 Mahomes touchdowns, and I think Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco get it in the end zone as well. But right now, Chiefs favored by 4 in this one. I've got them by 7. I'm a little crazy on them right now. I just think this might be a breakout game. Travis Kelce going home. He'll obviously have a lot of family there. I think Taylor will be traveling with him now. I believe her tour is over, so I think she's sticking it out with him through the rest of the season. So big travel party going up to Cleveland for that game. But I think the Chiefs are going to win. The real question is, what are they going to do at left tackle? Earlier today, we spoke with Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com, and this is what he had to say about where they could go with the left tackle situation, as you have the doubtful tag labeled on Humphreys, and the Chiefs don't usually lay out a doubtful tag.
Either Joe Thuney or Wanye Morris, and I could see a case both directions. I think if you're hoping that DJ Humphreys is going to be back, and maybe next Saturday against the Texans, you just need to get by one game. Maybe you can kick Joe Thuney out there and have him play left tackle. Can you try and start Wanye and see how he does, and if it doesn't work out, move Joe Thuney over? I mean, that's an option as well. I mean, I haven't gotten a good read on this team, and they've been very tight-lipped this week about what they're going to do. I think the smart money might be on Joe Tooney, but I'm not ruling out the Wanya Morris possibility.
Yeah, so there are a few ways it could go this Sunday, but I don't think Humphreys is going to be out there. I think he also referred to earlier, didn't have that clip of it, but you'll probably see Humphreys get demoted, his status get demoted tomorrow from doubtful to out. I don't think there's a way that he plays. I just don't think they want to risk it, right? Like they don't want to have to go back to Wanya Morris long term, and they don't want to have to do this switcheroo long term either. So I think it's just good if they try to push it one game and try to get him back on the field after this game for next week's game. So let's talk more football here as we'll go through the NFL slate. I'll kind of give my picks of kind of good games here. And you know what we'll see what the Vegas lines are. I talked about Commanders. I think they're in a good spot against these Saints with Jake Haener starting. Obviously a late bye. I think that's only great for a team that's 8-5 and in the playoff race. And they're obviously at this point in the year, no one's 100% healthy, but I think a bye week this late helps them get real healthy. The problem is, what are they going to do on the ground game and through the air? Because Noah Brown, the Hail Mary king, he is out for some time. He had an internal injury that, according to the injured list or injury report, something with his kidney. So that is never great. Prayers up to him. Hopefully he can play this season. But, you don't have you only have Brian Robinson as your running back. So I think they, Jaden Daniels got to run the ball a few times in this one. And you can't let Alvin Kamara beat you. He's got 223 carries, 938 yards. He's probably going to crack 1,000 in this one for the season. He's got 6 touchdowns. Don't make that 7. Bengals Titans. I don't think this is as close as it seems. I think the Bengals, they're favored by 5.5. I'll take them by 5.5 all day, every day, in every book possible. I don't think that the Titans can hang around with them. I think the Titans they just need to reset their franchise altogether. Giants hosting the Ravens. That's also a noon game on CBS. Baltimore favored by 16 in this one. I would agree. I believe it's Tommy DeVito going in this one. They've had this weird quarterback carousel between Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito because one's been hurt and the other's not. The other's been hurt. The other's not. They skipped Tommy DeVito. He's been labeled as the backup quarterback the whole year. They went to Drew Lock. Well, Drew Lock got hurt. Then Tommy DeVito came in. So they're just a quarterback carousel. They need to do exactly what the Titans. They just need a hard reset on the franchise. This is an intriguing line here. This next one. Panthers favored at home by 3 to the Cowboys. That says everything you need to know about this Cowboys season. Everything you need to know about this Cowboys season. It is one to forget when it was one that thought they were going to be great. Although the Cowboys are 4-2 on the road, they're horrible in Jerry World, so not surprising there. But Bryce Young has really come on in the last few weeks. I think this is the shift in his paradigm of his career that everyone wanted to see. So, this is the shift in the paradigm shift everybody wanted to see from Bryce Young, and I think we're getting it down the stretch of the season. Be great if he could have some more receiver help, and obviously Hubbard's helping him out in the backfield. He's over 1,000 yards on the season, 8 touchdowns. Well, that's good. Dumpster juice. If there were a dumpster juice game of the week in the NFL this week, loser leaves town, whatever. I mean, the losers have already left town in both of these. The Jets and the Jaguars, both 3-win teams, both had, high expectations this season, even more for the Jets. Jets are favored by 3.5 in this one. I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers, so I think that gives you the win. Trevor Lawrence obviously still hurt. I believe he was put on IR. I'm not 100% certain, but Jets all day in that dumpster juice game there. Dolphins, Texans, you're going to the NRG Stadium in Houston. This is a big one for the Texans because They need to keep winning to, keep up where they are in that division. They might win this division here, the AFC South, just because everyone else is bad. But obviously the Jags and Titans are eliminated at 3 wins. But you never know what the Colts can do. They're a real sneaky team. I wouldn't put the playoffs on the Colts, but like the Colts could easily do something. So you want the Texans to win. They're only favored by 3. Obviously, the Dolphins, we'll get into this in headlines, but they mutually parted ways with a big time receiver. Well, a big time receiver that's not really been big time in quite a number of years. We'll get to that in the headline segment at the top of the 5 o'clock hour here. Next one, Colts Broncos. Broncos by 4.5. That was one of Dan's picks for his Prairie Band picks. It's now moved, or at least ESPN bet it is 4.5. I'm taking the Colts in this one. I don't know. I'm not a Bronco. I'm just not a fan of Bo Nix, to be completely honest with you. I don't think Bo Nix can do it. I really do not think Bo Nix has the ability to do it, and I don't want to see him in the playoffs this year because they're not. I don't know. I'm not a big Sean Payton guy in a second. Just retire. Stay retired from coaching, please. Like you went to Fox, you took all that money to go to Fox, and then you just leave them high and dry. I don't. Yeah, I don't. I think I'm gonna go here with the Colts in this one. These next 2 ones are the Super Bowl matchups. Bills Lions 12-1 versus 10-3. For the sake of it, I've got the Lions winning this one. They're favored by 2.5. They're at home. They're at Ford Field. It's their home stadium. Obviously, weather won't play a factor in this because it's an indoor stadium. But apparently, tickets the most expensive get-in price that they've had for a Lions game in so long. Probably since before I was born. Just be real here. That game 3:25 p.m. on CBS. Excuse me. I got Lions in this one. I just think the Lions upset the Bills here, and that leaves another loss for the Chiefs to be ahead of the Bills for the number 1 spot in the AFC. Another intriguing matchup: Steelers at Eagles. I'm taking the Steelers here. I think Najee Harris is going to do something. There's so much infight in that locker room for the Eagles, and they don't deserve to be 12-2 with what's going on with them. They do not at all deserve to be 12-2. And also Steelers 5-2 on the road, Eagles 5-1 at home. I mean, obviously both really good, but I think the Steelers are the kings of Pennsylvania when it's all said and done on Sunday evening. 3:25 p.m. Another interesting and dumpster juice-ish game. Cardinals keep floating. I mean, they're flirting. They're 6-7 right now. They're hosting the Patriots. Patriots season is just a dumpster fire. I got the Cardinals in this one. They're favored by 6. We got a couple more games here. Bucks at Chargers. This is an intriguing matchup. The Chargers just keep winning and they keep playing really well. So I'm going to pick the Chargers until they lose. They're favored by 3. Sunday night game, Packers at Seahawks. Quite an interesting matchup. Green Bay favored by 2.5. I'll take Green Bay outright. I think they're going to win this one outright. I think it's going to be a great Sunday night football matchup, though. I'm excited to tune into a little bit of this on Sunday night for that game. But that'll do it here for this segment. When we come back, we'll have a round of On Second Thought, as I've kind of already mentioned this On Second Thought in a way, but that's coming up next year on 580 Sports Talk. On second thought, I never thought that Bill Belichick was seriously making the move to college. I thought that was just, let's just put my name out there, see what the NFL people think. But he really did it. He did it, although he can buy himself out in June of 2025 before he even touches a game for just $1 million if he decides he doesn't want to do it and leave the team high and dry before the season. I did not think that was going to happen at all. I was convinced that it was just, let's throw my name out there. But I mean, I did hear how he was going to run it like an NFL team, like you said on the Pat McAfee show on Monday. The word if, and then I really thought that meant like probably not. But that's what's happening. He's going to have $20 million in NIL. He's got a GM and his guy, Michael Lombardi. He might have a reunion with his coordinators from New England. We'll see whenever he names his staff. But that's my own second thought. I really thought that Bill Belichick would not be the head coach in Chapel Hill for the UNC Tar Heels. But he is. Final hour or final 30 minutes of 580 Sports Talk coming up after this break. We'll get headlines and a final word before we have high school basketball Friday night action that's coming up on 580 Sports Talk. Youngest in command movement continues here on 580 Sports Talk. Well, at least for the next 24-ish minutes until we hand things off to Dan Lucero as he's out at the Charger Dome for some 580 Preps action. Basketball season in full swing as we head into the weekend. Topeka West, hosting Seaman. Pre-game coverage with Dan Lucero, Larry Latimer will begin here around 5:30. High school basketball scoreboard show right here on 580. We're flagships of the high school basketball scoreboard show from the Kansas Information Network with Eric Peterson. That comes on 10 o'clock tonight right here on 580 WIBW. Later weekend in things here. Obviously no football when it comes to college, and K-State women in action tomorrow taking on Middle Tennessee State. No K-State men's action this weekend to speak of. And then we have Chiefs Browns 11 a.m. pregame coverage Sunday. Kickoff at 12 with Mitch Holtis and the gang. Sunday Night Football from Westwood 1. Green Bay taking on Seattle. It's a 6:30 pregame. But the man himself, the subject of rumors, Doug McDaniel, has squashed the rumors that everybody was speaking of here. That'll be our first headline, I guess, as we get into headlines here on 580 Sports Talk. He has squashed the rumors. Let me find the tweet. I've been going through a bunch of other tweets. Let me pull that up, but he all but squashed it as it was here. Now it's gone. Here, okay, we've got he all but squashes the beef. Well, he did, and now the tweet's gone. That's interesting. That is interesting. I saw a tweet that was retweeted, quote tweeted by Go Power Cat guy. And now it appears that tweet is gone. Now I gotta go see if I can find it again. There he did squash the rumor initially. Doug McDaniel did about leaving, but it appears that let's see, Ryan Wallace's Twitter. Yeah, it's gone. He had quote tweeted it, and now it's gone because the tweet's not there. It was just up there a few minutes ago. He had said, "Can we be quiet about this rumor?" Essentially, but now the tweet's gone, so I don't know what to make of this situation. I guess if we get anything before the end of the show, I will update you. So now I am as confused as I was about 10 minutes ago before I saw the tweet that he said it's just a rumor. So now is there more to this rumor? I don't know. Maybe he's going to put out an official. He's going to put out something more official because it didn't seem very official way to put it out. We'll be checking on things to see and see what happens there. But let's continue through our headlines here. I mentioned this earlier during my Spencer Knows Ball segment, or Talking Ball segment. The Dolphins and wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. have mutually agreed to part ways. He was basically just a track star for them, or just running routes. He wasn't doing much. Was not doing much at all. For the Dolphins, he wasn't really making any catches. He just seemed like he was gone, right? Like just there, just a body is basically, it seemed like he was just a body. He wasn't doing anything, and they've mutually agreed to part ways. Maybe you see him sign with a contender and see what he could do. Let's get some other NFL injury news. Justin Herbert, ankle and thigh injury, was a full participant in practice today and comes off the injury report. The Saints have officially listed quarterback Derek Carr with left-handed concussion as doubtful for Sunday versus Washington. Jake Hayner will make his first NFL start. Alvin Kamara with an illness comes off the injured list and is good to go. Lions left tackle Taylor Decker dealing with a knee and ankle, and defensive tackle DJ Reader with a shoulder are both off the injured list and set to return Sunday. Cardinals tight end Trey McBride knee is off the injury report and good to go for Sunday versus the Patriots. The Steelers have ruled out George Pickens again with a hamstring injury for the second straight week against the Eagles game. Joe Burrow's right wrist, left knee injuries are now puts him off the injured list. He is good to go versus the Titans on Sunday. I mentioned this earlier. Marshawn Lattimore, corner that the Commanders traded for, he will make his debut against his former team Sunday. He was looking to start that game. There's also news here from the Jaguars. Tight end Evan Ingram out for the season. Surgery coming on labrum in shoulder. More news, more on the OBJ situation, according to Tom Pelissero of NFL Media. His release is expected to be official today. If he clears waivers, he will be free to sign with any team. Two teams he has played with before, the Rams and Ravens, are currently in playoff contention. That's what old Pelissero says on the Twitter about that. I think that to be interesting to see what happens there. The Seahawks are listing running back Kenneth Walker III with a calf as doubtful for Sunday's game. Packers have Jair Alexander out for Sunday's game. Based on what based on head coach Matt LaFleur saw in 2 full practices this week, he didn't feel Alexander was ready, so they didn't have him practice today. Mentioned this earlier. The 49ers are moving on from linebacker Devondre Campbell. Coach Kyle Shanahan said today in his post-mortem video Zoom call that he had with media members after the game, the day after the game, he refused to go back into the game. Campbell did on Thursday night after being out of the starting lineup for Dre Greenlaw. Shanahan said they were working out the semantics of how suspension is an option, as is release. He should. If a guy just says, "Oh, you took my time away," because the starter comes back, he doesn't deserve to play the game. Like, the integrity of the game, like, the guy coming back's a bona fide starter. Dre Greenlaw is a bona fide starter. And if this guy doesn't want to come off the field, doesn't want to go back on the field because he's not the starter anymore, he deserves to not play football. He deserves to not get paid the big bucks to play football. A lot of other guys would be willing to be a reserve player. And if you're not, then the thing is, he knew this was going to happen, right? He knew that at some point Greenlaw was coming back from injury. He knew that at some point that it was going to happen. And he signed with the 49ers this year, came over to the 49ers, all while knowing that at this point in the year that it was probably going to happen. He started 12 out of the first 13 games filling in for Dre Greenlaw. Like, he's got to know. He's on a 1-year deal too. So I don't think this guy's getting another deal in the league. Like, if you pull that and just walk off the field, you don't deserve another deal. So I'm glad he's getting suspended and or released from the team. He deserves it. You don't disrespect the game of football like that. I also want to I talked about it a little bit earlier because I got caught off guard about it, but I'm trying to see if there is any official news of what it was. But Randy Moss did go live on Facebook, live on Instagram. You can join him in his fight against cancer at randymoss.com, and you can buy a We Got Moss Fight Against Cancer, Team Moss Let's Moss Cancer apparel as he fights cancer. And I'm trying to see if we have, okay. So AP has put out something on this, so I'll go ahead and read from the AP. Pro Football Hall of Fame wide receiver, now College Football Hall of Fame wide receiver Randy Moss said Friday he's being treated for cancer in his bile duct between the pancreas and the liver. So it's not liver cancer, after Larry Fitzgerald came out on Tuesday night and tweeted that, oh man, Randy Moss suffering from liver cancer. And then Randy Moss's son, Thaddeus, came out and said, how dare you disrespect my father like that? Because that's not what it is. So it's cancer in the bile duct between the pancreas and liver. In the appearance on Instagram Live, Moss, aided by a cane, introduced himself as a cancer survivor and thanked his prayer warriors for their support. He had a procedure to put a stent in his liver on Thanksgiving after experiencing urine discoloration. Moss was also hospitalized for 6 days before being released on Friday. He said he's being treated with radiation and chemotherapy. Moss stepped away from his role as an ESPN analyst on Sunday NFL Countdown on December 6th. As soon as I get healthy to get back out with the guys, I'll be on set. Hopefully I can be with you guys soon, Moss said. My goal is to be back on television with my team, end quote. The 47-year-old obviously was inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame in 2018, and most recently, the College Football Hall of Fame, which this article does not have. Yeah, so it's in a bile duct between the liver and the pancreas. Prayers up to Randy Moss that it doesn't come back. We saw one obviously yesterday. We talked about this yesterday. An ESPN analyst, an analyst in Dickie V. He's cancer free once again. Hopefully, we see him behind the mic as well. Yeah, so there's some news there to pass along. I have not seen any of the latest on Doug McDaniel, but if there is any more, we'll probably let you know on Monday if it is a story, but it doesn't appear to be a story. It appears just to be a rumor as of right now. Yes, because that post has in fact been deleted from Twitter, so don't really have any place to go with this. We've got Men's College Cup Final Four tonight. I believe that's all on ESPN, and it might be underway right now. Let me double check. But the Final Four in college soccer in Cary, North Carolina. Let's see if we've got it here. Let's see if men's soccer. That's only bringing me polls. I want the scores here. What time those games are going down. Let's see. Soccer. There's women's college, men's college soccer scoreboard. Here we go. In the 47th minute, 48th minute now, it's scoreless between Denver, who comes in as a third place team or third ranked team against Vermont. That's on ESPNU. At 6:30 tonight, Marshall, my alma mater, going for its second national championship, won the COVID one that was pushed from fall of 2020 to spring of 2021. They're coming in as the 13th ranked team in the tournament. They're taking on number 1 Ohio State. That's a 6:30 first kick on ESPNU. So an update there on some things. Let's go into continuing the college world. Former Marshall offensive coordinator and former Texas Tech standout Seth Doege has he's got a new home as we speak. I don't know if it's official yet, but obviously he was on the former Marshall staff that is now no longer, and he is coming back to the Big 12 here. Let me see if we do have an updated story, but I did see it earlier. Yes, we do have the updated story here. He will join Brent Brennan's staff at Arizona as their next offensive coordinator. The two sides are working to finalize the deal per sources of footballscoop.com. It's a big leap for him. Obviously, he comes from the Sun Belt after just one season as offensive coordinator where he did very, very well. I mean, obviously they went to the Sun Belt tournament or Sun Belt championship, but just 1 year, and he's jumping up to the power conference ranks. So good for Seth Doege. Obviously, he likes to run the air raid. That should be see how he does things at Arizona. It's more like an air raid run game because they like to incorporate the run game, but also it depends on the personnel you have. Marshall had great running backs. They had a couple transfers in from different schools, and an NC State transfer in, and another guy that transferred in from a Power 5 school. So it all depends on the people you have there. Let's see. Next headline here. We've got some MLB news. We'll get to the other one next, but the New York Yankees have acquired closer Devin Williams from the Milwaukee Brewers in exchange for left-hander Nestor Cortez, prospect Caleb Durbin, and cash considerations, the team announced Friday. Williams, a two-time All-Star, has established himself as one of the premier relievers in baseball over the past 5 seasons behind an elite changeup known as the Airbender. He posted a 1.83 ERA and 97 relief appearances. So that's good for them. Obviously, the Yankees missed out on Juan Soto, so now they're fortifying their bullpen. There is another trade that did go down as the Cubs have landed Kyle Tucker from the Houston Astros in exchange for third baseman Isaac Paredes, pitcher Hayden Wesnecky, and prospect Cam Smith, the teams announced Friday. Tucker has a career .87, is an .870 on-base plus slugging percentage. Pretty darn good, if you say so, if I can say so myself. That's a good get for the Cubs. He's entering his final year of team control, which means he'll be a free agent after next season and is likely to make around $18 million through the arbitration process. He'll become the Cubs' starting right fielder with Sinai Suzuki relegated to designated hitter duty, at least for now. The team will still employ infielder outfielder Cody Bellinger, but he's likely to be moved in a separate trade. So you bring in one guy and you take out another guy. Interesting there. I believe there's talk that Alex Bregman might get a contract here soon. That's obviously nothing official there yet. But Alex Bregman could get a contract in the coming days. Let's see if there's any other late breaking news here before we hit the break prior to final word. Doesn't appear there is anything, but again, we'll kind of go through the weekend schedule for you here on 580 WIBW. We'll have 580 Preps basketball tonight coming up here in just a little bit. Topeka West taking on Seaman. We'll head out with Dan Lucero, Larry Latimer here in a matter of minutes. And then tonight, 10 o'clock, we are the flagship for the Kansas Information Network, and the Kansas Information Network has the high school basketball scoreboard show with Eric Peterson coming up 10 to 11 tonight. Very small sports weekend this weekend as Kansas State women's basketball takes on Middle Tennessee tomorrow. That's a 4:30 pregame coverage, 5 p.m. the tip-off. Sunday, we have Chiefs at Browns, 11 a.m. is the pregame coverage, 12 p.m. is the kickoff. Sunday night football coming up, Green Bay at Seattle, 6:30 pregame, 7 p.m. or 7:15 p.m. kickoff. Let's see, Kansas basketball in action this weekend. Obviously, we do not air Kansas basketball, but they're in action tomorrow, 2:15. You can watch them on ESPN as the number 10 Jayhawks take on NC State Wolfpack at Allen Fieldhouse. That should be a good matchup. Kansas women's basketball also has a great game coming up on Sunday if you want to head out to Allen Fieldhouse and take in a women's game. Should be a great one. Kansas takes on Penn State. That's a 2 p.m. tip. I believe that game also on ESPN. Let me get a double check there. I believe it's being pushed to ESPN. It's a big time game. Coach Schneider urged the fans to come out and watch women's basketball on Sunday as Penn State comes in to Allen Fieldhouse. But let's double check. That game Sunday will be on ESPNU. Penn State, obviously a great women's basketball team in the Big Ten. Let's see their record this year. Let's see, as their website's coming up slowly but surely here. They're 9-2 on the season. They are 1-0 on the road. They've only had really one true road game because they were down at the WBCA State Farm Showcase in Orlando at the ESPN Wide World of Sports. And they've had home games as well. They're coming off a 68-51 win over Providence on Wednesday. And we get through things here. And Kansas State men's basketball, they're not back in action until Tuesday when they take on Drake at the T-Mobile Center. Obviously, not necessarily the game you thought it was when the game was scheduled as a Wildcat Classic, because you didn't know that they would be as good as they are right now. The Drake Bulldogs here are pretty darn good this season. And that should be a good one to watch for on Tuesday night, but it won't be a good one necessarily for the Kansas State Wildcats, who seem all out of sorts this year. It's a 9-0 Drake team. Obviously, maybe not playing the caliber of teams that you'd expect, but I take that back. They played Miami. They've played Florida Gulf Coast, Stephen F. Austin, Florida Atlantic, Vanderbilt, Georgia Southern, Valparaiso, St. Ambrose, and then they take on Kansas State in the Wildcat Classic. That's an ESPN Plus game, but we'll have it right here, 6 p.m. pregame coverage Tuesday night. Before they get into Valley play, should be a good one. Tuesday night. We will step aside for a break. When we come back, we'll have final word. That's next here on 580 Sports Talk here on 580 WIBW. Final word time here on 580 Sports Talk, the youngest in command movement coming to an end as we get ready to send things off to the Charger Dome. Dan Lucero out there with Larry Lattimore for some 580 preps action as the Topeka West Chargers host the Seaman Vikings. Girls basketball coming up first, then boys basketball here. But great way to end the week. Jeffrey with the question in there. How were the steaks? Steaks were good. Steaks were really, really good. Seared them on the pan, threw them in the air fryer, then put them back on the pan, a lot of butter and some seasonings mixed in there. Ooh, it was so good last night. Then wrapped up the night with some cheesecake. Very, very good. Going to be a great weekend. Hope everybody has a great weekend. For Dan Lucero, who you'll hear from momentarily, I am Spencer Dupuis. Let's send things out here to the Charger Dome after this 60-second break. For everyone, I'm Spencer Dupuis. This has been 580 Sports Talk. Have a great rest of your weekend. We will talk to you on Monday.